How do we discover and develop faith to achieve our dreams, goals and aspirations and visions in life? Well, I want to share what I experienced about faith and believing that I could achieve anything that I wanted in my life. In 1989, I hit a rehab from prison after spending over 12 years locked up in children's institutions and adult jails. I had a really bad attitude. I was a liar, I was dishonest, I was a manipulator, I was aggressive, I blamed everybody for my crap shit life that I was living. And I lived according to that attitude and the behaviours who I was back then, and my life was a cataract of disaster. I was unhappy, I was a heroin addict, I was miserable, I hated myself. And in this rehab that I landed in 89, it was at first the worst place I had ever experienced. I just thought all these weak fucks should be in jail, and that's where they needed to harden the fuck up and stop talking bullshit about my attitude and about who I was. And I wanted to get all their names off the electoral roll and just bloody terrorise them all for what they were saying to me. I hated this place with a passion, and I hated everybody in this place. It was the filthiest, lowest, dirtiest, mongrelest place I had ever experienced. I just thought they were all so weak. So after 3 months of this confrontation and these people telling me how horrible I was and what a bad attitude I had, I bucked and bucked and bucked. Anyway, I broke down and I cried, and I couldn't stop crying. I was emotionally, I was wrung out from 3 or 4 months of this constant confrontation about who I was from sun up to sundown, and the pressure got to me. I broke, and after I cried, I just realised that everything these people were saying to me was true. I couldn't believe the realisation I had arrived at. I was a criminal, I was a liar, I was a manipulator, I hated myself, I was aggressive, I was a horrible person who couldn't be trusted, and so much more. I was just a really lost human being from living in these environments of boys' homes and prisons, and I was just in survival mode of a byproduct of living like that. And on the street, you know, it was killed or killed. It was, you know, get hurt or hurt others. Like, I had no empathy, no compassion. So from that experience, I realised, when I changed, when I realised and seen who I truly was and got honest about that and started talking about it, I realised that from that moment, it didn't matter what situations I was going to end up in. I realised that I would learn, like I had learned who I was at rehab, I would learn to get the best out of these bad situations. And I was so shocked. I discovered what an arsehole I was. So from that moment, I knew it didn't matter what happened to me in life after that. There had to be a learning component in everything. If I learned something from something I hated with a passion, like that rehab, I could learn in any given situation. And if I had survived prisons and boys' homes for 12 years, you know, life was going to be a walk in the park. So I developed this form of faith that if I kept talking about my feelings, and if I kept talking about my thoughts, and if I kept being honest about who I was inside, that I could get through anything. Because when that happened to me in rehab, when I started talking about who I truly was and started identifying all this stuff, I started feeling better. I started feeling happier. I started feeling a lot more content. I started to feel like really free within my soul. So I knew if I just kept talking about my feelings and thoughts in life after rehab, I was never going to go back to jail. I wasn't going to talk shit. I was going to stop thieving. I was dead set fair dinkum about changing my life, and I was prepared to do that. A different action. I was going to be honest all the way through, and that honesty gave me enormous faith. And knowing what I said about, doesn't matter where I ended up in life, as long as I talked the truth about what I was experiencing, I could get through it. So I had to go back to court for these charges that I had prior to going to rehab, and I got another 3 years in jail. So it was in jail that I had all these visions about having a lot of money and being really successful and having a beautiful life and traveling the world and like having all these material things, beautiful cars, a lovely family. And I got it. I got it all. I become so wealthy, and every single dream come true in life, and because I had the faith to believe in myself. I finally arrived at a place that if I kept being honest and truthful and transparent, I could get through anything, and that's all I did. And everything started aligning. I got a great job that worked for me, that I could functionally make it work given my academic ability and given my history, which was I was an illiterate, I couldn't read or write, so I become really good at that job. I got a guy from in front of me who was great with real estate, taught me everything about negative gearing and finances, and that's what I needed. And I become a real estate tycoon. I ended up with a beautiful wife and beautiful children. I travelled the world, first class, business class. Just everything worked, but it is the faith that I had, and I just never ever gave up. And because of my honesty and my genuineness, and I believed that was the catalyst in my success, it all worked for me. So faith isn't about, just through my experience, having faith, wanting your dreams and aspirations to come true, is not just when things get hard, giving up. Like I had heaps of challenges, like there was so many challenges that I had and so many setbacks, and I just kept going and going and going and going, because I remembered that through those hard times, like in rehab when I first got there, I'd find the way through, and I did. So if you've had hard times, and I'm sure you've had hard times, just remember you've got through your hard times, and just remember how you got through your hard times. And hopefully with your dreams and goals and aspirations, you can remember that you survived your hard times, and hopefully you've learned something from past hard times. And if you can hold on to that with dreams and aspirations and having faith about why you're here and what you want in life, you possibly will get it. But you know, never give up, always dream big, always believe that you can find a way through, irrespectively of not seeing it. Like I didn't see how I was going to live the life that I was dreaming back in jail the last time in 1990. I didn't know about telemarketing, the job I fell into. I didn't know about property. I didn't know anything. I didn't know about traveling the world or the only thing I knew about relationships is what I could get out of them. But I didn't know anything about intimacy or honesty in relationships. I knew nothing, but it came to me. It came to me through opening up, talking about my feelings and thoughts honestly. And just remember, your hard times and what you've been through, and hopefully what you've learned out of them, what you're learning out of them today, that can set you up for a fantastic life in the future and give you the faith that you will need to succeed at what you've been called to do on this earth. You take care now, look after yourself. And what a beautiful day it is here on the Gold Coast. It's absolutely fantastic. Have a look at this. This is the dream, people. Take care.